gentlemen, please gather around because we've got a really special Great British Menu panel here. 5 of the most talented young chefs in the UK at the moment, but probably most interesting, we're going to find out all about their amazing experience on Great British Menu. So I'm joined by Corinne here from Gwen Restaurant. Kirk Howard, yeah, Mark Birchall's going to go soon, hopefully. Kirk Howard from One Michelin Star Plates in London. Then we've got Adam Smith, who I actually judged that year, so I'll take a little bit of credit from Woven. Then we've got Ben Palmer from the Sardine Factory. And last we've got Kate Austin, who's a private chef. So welcome everybody, thanks very much. It's quite weird for me, because obviously I'm a veteran chef of the competition now. I guess you guys are too. But I actually judged you, didn't I, Adam, that year? So it's quite nice it's funny because you're sort of peers in the industry and then you have to sort of play these roles for a TV show. But I mean, you obviously did fantastically well and won the fish course that year.
Yeah, I mean, it was a bit strange staring into your eyes while they film it and be like, what do you think of this? It's one of the most awkward moments of my life. But yeah, I mean, we managed to get the fish course for the banquet and that was it. The whole experience actually was just fantastic from start to finish. I think a lot of our industry is about your peers. It's about the people and who you're working with, the relationships you get to build, and from yourself judging it to the other judges to the people you're competing with, it's fantastic.
That's really nice. I mean, I think the people who I did banquets with and did like finals weeks with, they've ended up being like your friends for life. I think the relationships you make are really nice. It's such a high pressure environment that you're kind of all in it together, much as you're competing against each other. Things have gone crazy for you, Kirk, since Great British Menu, and then you win a Michelin star as well. Did it like really help your business?
Yeah, I mean, Great British Menu literally filled the restaurant for a year. It was like, wow, insane. Yeah, when we opened the booking window after Great British Menu, we had 76,000 people trying to book at the same time.
So your website crashed?
Yeah. So yeah, like that's why I tell any chefs that go on there, like take it really seriously because it can really change your career, and put a lot of care in and show on TV that you care about what you do and you're passionate, because people that are watching that connect to you and they want to come and support you as well. Not just about the food, it's about you as a person. I think that show.
Yeah, I mean, 75,000 people, that's amazing. This is in an era when apparently less people watch TV than ever before, to have that connection. But I mean, I guess for you cooking plant-based as well throughout the competition, it is a real opportunity for you to sort of show not just your personality, but the sort of food you would cook in your restaurant and really get your ethos across.
Yeah, definitely. I think it was in my own head for like 8 years before then. I was working on a style of cooking that I kind of felt I was creating something, but people didn't get what I was trying to do. Like I was trying to like take it away from labels and call it vegan and all these names. And I was just like, it's delicious in my view, and I just want other people to understand what I'm trying to do. And Great British Menu allowed me to showcase that. Do you know what I mean? Because it's hard to kind of talk to people what you're trying to do, but to visually show them and then get the reaction when they taste it was really special. It was like, this is what I've been trying to do for 8 years, trying to get people to understand it. And I think that was the moment where people understood it.
Amazing to have that platform.
Yeah.
So Kate, you won the main course, which they say that's the one that every chef wants to get, but in reality, it's probably also the hardest course, I think.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I totally screwed myself over by having 14 elements. So yes, I can confirm that it definitely was the hardest. But honestly, it's an experience that changed my life. I was always restaurants. On the show, they said I was a private chef. And I think if you listen throughout, my job changes as the series goes on, because I worked for Gordon Ramsay at the time, and they said I had to wait a year to go on the show. And I felt it was my time. I was feeling a bit uninspired in my job. I wasn't, I'd worked in restaurants and I'd kind of couldn't see where the next chapter was. And so I said, no, it's my time to do it. I'm going to compete. But it meant that actually for the regionals, I was unemployed. I had no job. I'd gone for a job and they'd said, we're not sure, you have to come back and do another one. And so I just said to the show, like, yes, I'm a private chef. And then I came back and I did get a job working for a family, and I had to because it funded it. I think, a bit of a look into behind the scenes is it does cost quite a lot of money to compete on that show because you need the bells and whistles. And I had studied it before, and everyone who had all the great props and, it's a whole kind of performance. And so I also was creating everything from home. And in restaurants, you buy a stabilizer for an ice cream and it costs 100 quid, but it lasts like 2 months, whereas I needed to just buy it to develop. So yeah, there was a big investment. I took a job as a private chef, and it was a chance. It was like, this could either open up doors and I can go in a different career path, or I fall on my face and go back to restaurants, and that's what I'll do. But luckily it didn't go that way.
I think that's an amazing context, actually, because Great British Menu, even in the time that I've been involved with it, has evolved massively. And what the guys have to put in now is the whole package in terms of the storytelling, the props, and also the food, and then being an amazing personality. It's not a one-dimensional thing at all. And to be able to achieve that without the backup of a restaurant and a team around you is really commendable.
Oh, thank you. I think it was difficult because I had no one to ask if things were all right. Like I made things from my parents' house. So obviously they'd be like, yeah, it tastes great. But there was my creative process. I like working with people. I bounce off them. I think it's an industry that's the best thing about it, the minds that you get to work with. And I wasn't. I was just at home doing it. So I think it was a very emotional win for me. And I think that was because what had gone into it to get there, like some of the situations that we had at home cooking and developing those sodding dishes, I thought if anyone knew what was going on.
That was a good show in itself, I think.
Yes, it would have been.
So Ben, you cooked the starter that year. I mean, Great British Menu banquets, I think we can probably say they're probably the best example of like TV versus reality. It's probably the hardest event you'd ever have to cook, and to be first up is probably about as hard as it's going to get.
Yeah, no, absolutely. As Great British Menu, again, for me, as all of us, is a huge part of my life, huge part of, something amazing in my career that I've been lucky enough to experience. And going to Paris as well, we did it in Paris. So that was a huge experience. And yeah, there's a lot of pressure on doing the first course, But GBM, for me, obviously, I have my own restaurants in the Southwest. So I grew up watching GBM as a chef. I used to come home from work and watch it. And then to get the chance to go on and compete and represent the Southwest was fantastic. And I was gonna chuck everything into it, which I did. And the results kind of like showed themselves. And as a business owner, like it did absolutely phenomenal things for my business in terms of, because you can't buy that publicity, right? Like, like being on TV and showcasing what you do and people seeing you, so it was a huge part of my career, my life and my business. Yeah, it's fantastic.
That's amazing. I think, it was exactly the same for me.
Yeah.
No one knew who I was before Great British Menu. I almost put my career in two categories: the time when no one came to my restaurant, and then afterwards. and that's an amazing opportunity. I think anybody gets an opportunity to do it in the future, you've got to put your best foot forward and go for it, because what's the worst that can happen? Corinne, you did the canapé that day, which was also on the Eurostar, which was probably something that you weren't expecting to do in your career.
Yeah, it was quite tricky. Quite tricky. The whole experience was just like quite eye-opening. You spend a lot of your time inside your kitchen before you do something like GBM, and you really focus on yourself. And then you get an opportunity to actually share a kitchen with great chefs, and it opens your eyes. It makes you kind of embrace the industry a little bit more. That was my experience of it. Doing the canapé, it kind of felt like, wait a second, I didn't sign up for this bit, because I was trying to get a dish on the banquet, and then they were like, oh, are you going to serve some food on a train? So it was a bit weird, but it was a challenge that I accepted, and it was fun.
Would you come back and do the show again?
Yeah, possibly, yeah. I think I've got a taste of the finals now, so I kind of want to try and go a step further, so potentially, yeah.
Definitely having that knowledge of being in the kitchen before is...
Yeah. I mean, when we were on the show, my restaurant was open for 3 months. So I was really new into being a head chef and having my own place. I hadn't even really found my style of food, I don't think. Now I'm 2.5 years on, I'm a lot more confident in myself, and I think I know where I want to be and what I want to be, which is quite good.
That's amazing. I mean, the day itself was incredible in Paris. We actually got the Eurostar, so I judged Adam. So how it works as a veteran chef is if one of your chefs gets to the final, to the banquet, you get invited. So I'm always sort of rooting for those chefs. And Adam obviously won the fish course, so I got to go. But we were late setting off on the Eurostar because Michael O'Hare slept in. So he had to come running down the platform in his platform shoes. So that made us quite late. And then we actually lost Raymond Blanc on the other side. He got on a tourist bus and was going around Paris. So it was quite an eventful day. I'm going to go out with a mic, and if anyone got any questions, because there's probably lots of things you'd like to know, but contractually with the BBC, I wouldn't be allowed to ask. But if you ask it, it's absolutely fine. Have you got any hands up? Anyone got any questions for the panel? Oh, Howie, don't be shy.
Zero.
John Feeney.
So how many takes do you have to do on the dishes sometimes, honestly?
How many takes?
What, like the development process?
It depends. I mean, I did it. This is the second time I did it. The first time I did it, similar to Kay, I didn't have a kitchen and I didn't do any time trials. And it was the biggest mistake I ever did. So the second time I did it, I was like, I'm not going to sleep until I do it in that time frame. And I got like my mates to come in and pretend they were the judge. So I rehearsed the whole thing, because when you say you get like 2 hours to cook your dish, you've got to have 20 minutes extra, because they always stop you to ask you a question, and just the pressure at kitchen, etc., etc. So I probably did each dish 15, 20 times.
Wow. Is that similar for...
Just I didn't want the pain of the last time of not winning. Yeah. You know what I mean? I felt so shit.
What? How many times you practiced it before you did it? Oh, months. Like hundreds of times. Yeah. Yeah. Honestly, we ate quail for about 5 months. Yeah. No, but I'm a believer in that. I don't think you can get the biggest thing without putting the most amount in. And there were some people there who would say, you know, oh, I've never practiced this one. And you thought, what? How? How have you not done it?
Well, that's the reason why you guys are sat there.
Yeah, sure.
To be honest, you don't win Great British Menu unless you leave no stone unturned.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. And I think that's the right attitude to have with it, really. It's, you know, we got a... I think you have to make yourself extremely uncomfortable to be able to get the best rewards. And for me, Great British Menu is the highlight of my career. It's the best thing that's ever happened to me. And it was the most uncomfortable 9 months of my life. So it doesn't come, you know, I think one doesn't come without the other.
Any other questions from the audience? Oh, come on. Yeah.
Is it working?
Yeah. What I like about this guy is his top says feeling lucky on it. So what are you going to ask?
Here. How do you mentally prepare yourself to go on the show? Like, it's quite a big toll, and you was all probably knackered. But I guess it helps if you're making cups of tea on desserts and that for everyone.
What do you think?
Yeah, Curran, and when he was doing the treacle tart?
I can't hear you.
When you were doing treacle tart,
Yeah.
I was just saying, like, how do you mentally prepare yourself for like the pressure of it all, and then how do you feel like when you're doing it, really? But I said, I guess it helps that Curran makes the cups of tea when we're on pastry, you know, wandering around.
He's the most chill guy
Yeah. So how do you mentally prepare? I mean, I think it's a really good question, because well, everybody starts off as a chef in a kitchen, and then suddenly you end up in front of a camera, and it is two very different things, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. For me personally, like, I am quite a chilled person, but also I think you mentally prepare yourself throughout your whole career to be in a situation like that. And what you lean on is the fact that you're there for a reason. You know, you've been picked to do the TV show, the competition, because you're a good chef. And if you believe in your food, just keep believing in that, and everything else around you is noise. And then hopefully your peers enjoy it and the judges enjoy it, and then you'll see how far you go. But yeah, I mean, I got beat by a 40 out of 40, so it's probably best to ask him.
No, I think again, it's putting yourself. I think it's putting yourself in that situation before you get there, as much as you can. So like, I think GBM, I think you'll probably agree, Tommy, a lot of it is mental. Like you can have really good dishes before you get on there, but you can make one mistake. You make one mistake, the cameras are on you, then that can make you make another mistake. And then you can lose it. You can go from having a 10 dish to a 7 dish very, very quickly. So I think it's like practicing composure and calmness. But that only happens by being prepared, I think, which is what I learned from the first time. So it's like, just be prepared as you can. It's probably the best advice. But don't be scared to fail and make mistakes as well, because I think that's where you learn the most, isn't it?
I think being yourself as well. I think that's something that all of you have done really well. Is people want to see a bit of personality, don't they? And I think you need to really put yourself out there. So let's do some quick fire then, right? I'm going to ask you all, what was the lowest moment of Great British Menu for you?
Oh, I've got mine straight away.
Go on then.
I tanked the first 2 courses, and I went on being like, I've practiced everything. This is gonna be great. I love my vegan dish, and they came back and they were like, it's terrible. And I thought, oh my god. And the way that it's filmed, they condense it for the television show, but I think the first day was when I did terribly, and then you have to go back to your Hilton hotel with nobody that you know and stare at the ceiling, being like, I'm putting my entire career on the line on national TV, and it's going badly. So, that hands down, that was it.
Ben?
I mean, it wasn't such a low moment for me. It was like a high moment as well. But it's one of the scariest moments is, you know, when they ask you, you're the last person on the day to cook your course.
Yeah.
Like, it was hard enough cooking for the judges or the veterans, and then it was like, okay, Ben, like, your main course today, you're last. So you have to stand on the pass. Every single chef that's in the final is tasting your food. You know, that was, for me, it was quite scary. But again, it was a really high point as well. But, you know, there was loads of highs, there was loads of lows, but I think you just got to roll with the punches, and predominantly they're all highs over the lows, really. So
when it comes to finals week, they pick out which dishes you've done better in, and basically throughout the week you're going to serve first, second, third, and fourth. And they picked me to serve first for my dessert, and my dessert was the one course where I'd changed, like I'd added elements, and they're basically like, if you've done this before and we've filmed it, you don't have to do it live, but because it's all new, you have to do it live. And I had like an hour and a half, and it was just like, everything was just shit, like everything. Like, and all I'm going through my head is, I've got a team back at work that I would absolutely crucify if they served me something like this, and they're going to see this. And it was painful. I had to walk off. I had to walk out the back. It was just all a bit too much.
Yeah. Oh. Kirk?
Yeah, I think I was giving you a bit of
Yeah, we were around the back.
yeah. You know, bad day in the office.
Well, Adam's doing something a bit dodgy.
To be honest, this time with these guys, I didn't really have any lows, but the first time it was all lows. So yeah, like I said, I didn't want to have any lows, so I prepared to not have any lows. I did forget like one thing when I was doing the regionals, and I had to like get my housemate to come up on the train to Stratford-upon-Avon and bring the yeast garum to add into the sauce. Oh. But yeah, and then just like I just added charcoal powder into one of my sauces, and their charcoal powder tasted different than mine. I think that's also you got to be careful of, is like whatever you practice with, you got to make sure you get the exact same thing, because they'll order it from a different company, and then you put it in, and you have to serve it because you put it in, it doesn't taste right. I did that on the first dish, which ruined the dish. But yeah, is that really?
Corin? I think you're all right. Yeah?
Keep that. My low, funnily enough, was probably doing the canapé. Because you go through his competition, it's brilliant. You got all the camaraderie of all the other chefs in his kitchen, and you're experiencing all these new things. It's amazing. And then they say, "Oh, you've won the canapé," and it has to be vegan, have to be in the fridge for 24 hours, and you got to serve it on the train. And you're going to go to a kitchen in Bicester and make it all on your own for 3 hours. So that was a bit of a struggle. You know, they got a camera in your face, one-on-one. They watch you make the first one, and they say, "Right, now do that 120 more times, and then we're going to drive to London." So that was my biggest low.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think thank you all for being very, very honest there. Actually, it's nice to see. I think when you've done the show, you realise just quite how hard it is, and I think there's a newfound respect. People sometimes say to me that the chefs score each other quite highly, and then the judges don't. I'm like, well, the judges are sat in a chamber on their own. They don't see the blood, sweat, tears, and pure emotion that goes into making it. I think anybody who competes in the show is you got to commend anybody for putting themselves out there. Should we have one last question? We got one question. Yes, sir.
Am I on? Yes.
Oh, you are on, sir.
Whoa.
When you get a 10, what does it actually mean? What's the descriptor for a 10? And what's the descriptor say for 4? I don't understand how they come up with these scores. It just seems like a number when it comes out to the viewer. So there must be a descriptor behind that number. So I was thinking, what's the high one and what's the low one?
Well, I guess I'm quite qualified to answer that, but I'd be really interested to see what you guys are like if you go back and do some veteran work, because it's not the easiest thing to do is to look at a chef that you really respect in the eye and tell them that the dish isn't quite how they think it is or how you think it is. But for me, to get a 10, it's two things. One is flawless cooking, so every single element needs to be perfect. And the second is, of course, the brief. So the storytelling has to be really, really strong. I love giving out 10s because you know how much work someone's put into it. I also think there's a lot of value in giving a chef a 9 because if there's something that isn't quite perfect, I do think it gives you a real G up. The first year I had Tom Aitkins, who is one of the most intimidating judges you could have, really, and he gave me 2 9s in a row before I got a 10. It was probably the best lesson I ever got because he just was so nitpicky on little bits, but that's made me realise the standard. And actually, when I went back even into my restaurant, I was like, I need to cook at a different level actually if I want to compete at that level. But I don't know how you guys felt. I mean, you obviously all got 10s at different times.
I think food's subjective, like on every level. Like everyone sat in this line cooks very differently, and I think so. What a 10 means to you might be different to what it means to me. And I think, but ultimately, you just want to cook a plate of food that's number one is delicious. Number one, you can eat it and it tastes great. I think particularly with GBM, it's about the brief. I think personally, through my journey, I didn't particularly play that game very well. I could have done better if I'd have played the brief game very well. But I think there's many incidents in your whole career across our industry where there's winners and losers and there's stars and there's all these different things and there's no rule book. And it's just about doing the best that you can and producing food that other people can respect and ultimately close your eyes, put it in your mouth and just think that it tastes great.
Absolutely. I mean, Adam, when I judged him, it was quite interesting because you just made really, really good food and then just looked me in the eye and you were like, come on, man. It was almost like a bit of a fight. It was like, I don't care if you don't think I hit the brief. This sauce is banging. It was kind of a bit of a face-off every time. They do this really awkward thing where they make you stare into each other's eyes for about 30 seconds, which with some chefs, it's like really awkward. And some it's quite funny, but it's not what you want as a competitor for sure. Would any of you come back as a veteran judge if asked? Would you enjoy that?
Yeah, I'd love it.
Yeah.
I got to admit, it's an easy gig. Just have to eat food and say whether you liked it or not. So have we got any last questions before we finish off? We'll let these guys get some lunch. All right, well, I'll just say a massive thank you to the winners of Great British Menu here. Amazingly talented people. I'm sure they'll be hanging around for a while, so if anyone's got any questions they want to ask off mic, come and say hello. They're definitely, if something you're looking at doing, any competitions or anything like that, definitely the right people to ask about that. So thank you very much, guys.
Thank you.